welcome to the Old World Fanatics, your Warhammer fantasy podcast to quench your hobby thirst for all things the Old World. I'm one of your hosts as usual, Gomo. I'm joined by Andrew and Josh and Carl Pearce from the land down under to the side, New Zealand. Hey, mate, how are you going?
Kia ora, up the Warriors.
Yeah.
Hey.
Thank you for coming on. You reached out to us. You've been running some tournaments and stuff, and so it's really good to get another, I guess, view. What have we had a New Zealand representative on? I don't think so.
I don't think we have.
Yeah. And I've been chatting to a few of them remote with Old World Rankings, getting their tournament scenes up and running. But it's good to actually talk to someone and see how it's going over there. So, yeah, it's going to be a good conversation. And I know it's not about comp. It's more about, I think, narrative with you. So it's really interesting. I think we've chatted about this before on this podcast. So, yeah, cool, man. So, Carl, I'll get you to intro yourself in a minute, but I'll just quickly cover. That's going to be our main topic, everyone. And then, obviously, after that, I think Josh has a bunch of hobby stuff. Andrew's got a bunch of scheming.
Campaign stuff.
There we go. Yeah. There is some other, square-based stuff that I might do in another YouTube video, but, if things happen and
if we're running short of
another topic, which I doubt, but, there
has
is
it
some
ever
stuff
happened?
popping out of square-based. Not really. So that's all cool. But yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to our patrons. You know the drill these days, guys. They'll get a shout out going into the second half of the show. So if you want to get a shout out, jump over to patreon.com/oldworldfanatics. Check out our tiers over there. Support the show and help us turn up weekly. I think I really appreciate it. I think we've got, what was it today? 40. Was it 50? Is that right? No, that's not paid, surely.
That's not
47.
Paid,
it's nearly 50. 47 paid patrons. So big thank you, guys, and you'll get your shout out after this, plus throw a few questions at us, which they do as well every week. So, apart from that, let's get into it. Carl, so New Zealand, Wellington, and not only that, Australia as well. You've got a bit of connection there. So give us a quick lowdown of your Warhammer career, plus, how did you...
illustrious career. So I guess I'm quite old, 40, nearly 45. So I started playing about...
That's in our age group, man. That's fine.
That's exactly why we're playing this game, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I couldn't afford really to play it, so it would have been about 1995. After a bit of a dalliance with Blood Bowl and Necromunda, we really got into the old world or Warhammer Fantasy back then. So it would have been mid-90s. Had my Empire, had just big blocks of paper with 3 lead dudes, and we would just command these blocks of paper with a command squad in there, and and it was really good.
So 95 is what? Is that 5th? Yeah. Or 5th?
Maybe 4th. It was...
No, 5th came out in 96 or 97.
It was Elves and Goblins. Yeah, right.
Yeah, 4th.
Yeah. And then, as things changed, went to university, that sort of thing. Started actually doing a little bit with some students. I was a high school teacher for years. So, we had Geek Club, which
awesome.
that passed the principal, which was really cool. And just sort of kept painting a little bit, and then I gave up teaching, started brewing. Really wanted a hobby that would just help me decompress in the evening. So it was painting. I wouldn't say I've got ADD, but I love active relaxing. So just really got back into my painting. Had to go overseas because my partner needed to finish her training as a doctor. So he ended up in Melbourne. And I brought this hobby with me, which is, in this case, it was mainly 40K because it was obviously super popular, really easy to find games. And so just trawled around the hobby clubs over there. Really supportive, some real good hobby clubs in Australia. Shout out to the Warplings crew in there in Melbourne. Just really nice, helpful people, they just show you the ropes. And then we moved up to Newcastle, spent a year there over COVID. And
it's so crazy, isn't it? Like, it's just literally around the corner.
I don't know too much about it either, but just once again, really good dudes. You sort of reach out, hey, I want to play some Warhammer, and mate Jono drove me to the store in Maitland, and play some games.
Escape the lockdowns of COVID.
I so lucked out. It was literally got up there in February of 2020. And
Melbourne.
then I'm at the beach. Get to go
What is it?
surfing in Newey, it's really good.
That's especially where you were. Just describing it for the listeners, he was like, 1 minute walk from Newcastle Beach, probably through there.
Yeah,
probably.
So good.
Probably some of the best beaches in Australia along there. So pretty
Mm.
crazy. Yeah. If everyone's seen that Pasha Bolka, the picture, I see it on Facebook occasionally go around where people are like, "This is not fake," and then you see all the threads saying, stop pasting AI pictures, this boat on the beach. It's like, no, that's real. And that was right here where you used to sort of live. So kind of crazy. Yeah, that's cool. So that was 40K, or did you say Horus Heresy?
Yeah, it was all 40K, and I remember seeing House of War in Ringwood. We were playing 40K upstairs, and came downstairs, and I saw some Horus Heresy armies in the flesh for the first time, and it just absolutely blew me away with the painting. I didn't understand. I mean, you guys have obviously seen some Heresy armies, like just the level of painting and the style. I'd never seen anything like that before, and really lit a fire under me in terms of just getting better at painting. And and then went back to New Zealand, did some more brewing for a bit, and then just my partner got really busy, so I needed to be a stay-at-home dad, and I got full-time back into the commission painting. So that's what I've been doing.
Wow.
And in terms of Old World, I just wanted to rekindle my youth, and something was definitely missing when I got back into painting. I was wondering where the Old World had went. That was about 2018, and it had gone. And something about the end times, and
sad times.
Just trying to recapture my youth. That's what we're doing.
We all doing it. So no, the Heresy is interesting because I was talking. Obviously, that's pretty big here, I reckon, in Newcastle, and it's just I don't know what it is. Is it the combination that you sort of in the early days had to do a lot of converting as well, and it's sort of a bit of it was more of a modeler's thing, is it?
And obviously, like part of I've been playing 40K up until probably the last 6 months, and I think just that fatigue of having a constant evolving meta. If you actually do give a shit about how your army looks and having things cohesive, it's pretty detrimental to the hobby as far as I'm concerned. Because literally, if I'm going to a tournament, I'm turning over an army, every 2-3 months, and it's there's only so much of that you can do.
Wow.
You can't put the effort in then.
And Heresy, you're literally making your consoles and your little spacemans, and you're able to tell the story. It would have an aesthetic, and the most important thing for me is the terrain. That's really the biggest thing, and it's something we never had as kids. Was decent terrain. That's what's lit the fire under me, I think, for Old World, really, is having some cool looking tables.
Oh, cool. No, that's right. When you look, I don't know about AOS, but definitely when you look at 40K, it seems like they're all just playing on the same.
It's just L's, man.
Triangle, L's, whatever.
MDF L's, and but that's sort of necessary to play the game, because if you don't hide, you're dead, and so it's just trading.
It's turned into just pure game. Which again, I'm not going to criticize. I mean, I can see the use of it as well, but it does miss that hobby. It's sort of the soul of it. You sort of question whether or not it's changed. So at least we've got Heresy, obviously, if you're into that, and obviously Old World. So I think the hobby you're seeing in the Old World is doing a similar thing. We're still struggling, I think, with some armies where people don't have the figures and some painted or whatever, but I think there's a lot of good quality stuff that's coming out. So, what's it like over there? I mean, what do you want to talk about first? I mean, obviously, there's the whole hobby and terrain building and all that, but do you want to talk through the narrative one? You just ran that, didn't you? So
So pretty lucky we've got it was first of the month. So pretty fresh. So I'm pretty lucky once again. I found a really cool club, the Kendala Club, which is about 10 minutes drive from me. I'm just in the CBD of Wellington, and just some really good dudes there. And Old World came out. We wanted to play some games. Friend Tom had actually he'd run the first event, and it was quite competitive. And I really just having played a lot of Heresy, I really wanted to kick off something that had the same vibes as we did in some of the Heresy events. and I keep using that word event because, like, for me, tournament's quite a dirty word.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
literally event, like, hey,
Yeah.
we love winners, but that's what we're doing, trying to create an event.
Yeah.
So
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
And like anything, if you don't be the change that you want to see, it's just not going to happen. So I got off my ass and organised some tables and terrain, and
Yeah. So
awesome.
how'd you go with that? Is that your stuff, or like how many players? Like overall, how many people? Did you
Yeah,
get
so
in
our
this
first one was quite well attended. I think we had about 14, and we started off with doubles. So that was a really good way in terms of trying to grow the community. No one could get a 2,000 point army painted in that time, because that was probably about 9 months ago or so.
Right.
It was 9 months after the edition dropped, and so we just did. We ended up doing 1,500 each. So it was a 3K game, doubles, and the biggest thing about that, apart from needing fully painted, was the fact that people that were stronger on the rules could help each other, and so you've got 4 heads playing each other, which was really good for getting like 3 games under your belt and understanding how the game works.
It's a really good point, actually. Yeah,
I
haven't even
it's
played
the way to
doubles
learn
at all
games.
yet, but yeah. And
Yeah,
I like
so
the 1,500 actually, because it feels like you don't lose out on too much. Like for your own army, you can still take some good stuff.
Yeah, so that was the way of kicking it off, and we sort of begged and borrowed terrain, but having doubles as well means your terrain loading isn't too heavy, because you can get heaps of people, and you're only going to need 3 or 4 tables to get a sizable turnout. So I just started thrashing the 3D printer and getting some mats from getting it shipped from Combat Company, and we were away laughing.
Yeah, that's cool. So that was pure sort of just out of the book Warhammer, basically.
That was just kill points. Yeah. Yep, different deployments. Yeah.
And then, so is it all run out of the same club then? So that was the first one.
Effectively. So it was a lot of the crew from the club, but also there's a few Facebook groups. So we just sort of, I put my hand up and said, anyone who's interested in some non-sweaty list, good lists, but non-sweaty lists, like, join me, and I'm going to set up an event, and you just set up a Facebook chat group, and that's probably the best way in terms of setting up the culture of what are the expectations,
No, you got it up here, like, just share this for people who are listening. It's just sort of the whole blurb here from
super opinionated,
it feels like it could be written by like Kendall though over here at like
it does.
or something like that. Like,
Don't you think of Kendall?
No, it is. It's it's got you've made the Heresy sort of comparisons here, and it's not really a tournament. And then, is it here that actually does say about the paint? Yeah. As much we require you to paint your armies cohesively. Yeah, I love it. So, and that's, I guess, one of the things. I think we've struggled a little bit to decide when we make those cutoffs. But I like when someone does say, "Hey, this is a narrative event. That's part of it. You don't have to come to this one."
Yeah.
And I think that there's a place for that. And the good thing is, I think more and more as we get into this year, hopefully my opinion is hopefully we see it more and more, that you have to have it painted. I don't know if there's competitive scene. Maybe there's a rule where, if it's your first tournament or whatever, we don't care. But I feel like at some point, if you played it a bit, the person across the table deserves if they've put it together.
I'm getting too old as well,
Like
I want to see some good looking armies. I'm not in my 20s anymore, and we were raised on these amazing White Dwarf battle reports. And so that's what I want to see, and the fact that we did doubles right meant that everyone had 1,500 points already kind of painted. So we sort of broke in the back of it, and it was easy to stagger the journey to getting a painted army.
Yeah, that's true. Did you guys run any, like, in that Facebook group or in your clubs? Did you do any build up to that 1,500, like slow grow type things? Or
no, grand delusions of doing that sort of thing, but generally it's just sign up for an event and just start panic painting. A lot of people.
It sounds like
need a deadline,
Andrew.
It's super important, That's how I've managed to get armies painted, and I always liken the hobby to a car show. Really, it's just you're there to show off your stuff and talk to people, and you want to put your best foot forward. But if you don't book the event, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Did you find with obviously there's no real restrictions, but you got like that vibe of the event where you want something kind of like cool and a bit fluffy. Did you find many people were trying to push the envelope a little bit, or everyone was actually pretty good?
I mean, like I say, because of having big props to our event organizer, Harry Bright, who does the Heresy over here. Probably about a quarter of the guys played Heresy already. So they've got that mindset of what's good and what's interactive. And it wasn't hard to say, look, this is busted. We know what's busted. We have Close Order podcast talking about bringing triple dragons and just that sort of nonsense. And everyone knows, wizards are crazy. So let's just restrict what we know is good. And make it look like an army. And obviously in terms of this event, having borrowed heavily from the Firestorm games, try and make missions that are infantry appropriate, because we want to see some infantry on the table.
No, cool. Probably run through them quickly. It's just in terms of army selection, you ran the 2,000 points. Yeah, so what I mean, it's like you said, it wasn't really heavy comp. It was just don't be a dick and steer clear of the death, like the non-interactives, the poison blocks, Death Stars, multiple peg units, scream lists. Obviously the runaway wood elves back then / because at this time, the wood elves are probably gone by now. Yeah, multiple dragons. But then in terms of the comp, though, it's just I mean, even 4 duplicated core choices and 3 specials, 2 rare. I mean, that's really not comping anyone. So they got heaps of flexibility.
Should just look like an army, Bring your Pegasus Knights, but just bring one blob. You don't need to min max it, and it's not super hard,
and that's, I mean, I saw that when I played Cam. What about the friends of the pod / second pod man? He, as soon as you took that second unit of pegs out, it looks like a Bretonian army. It's just putting horses back in. So just
fill his horses everywhere.
That looks awesome. And then just going on to the hobby grind. So we only talked about that a bit, but just the full models, and we do have some picks here. So maybe I'll jump over to them just to, if you want. Is that cool? Or you want?
Go nuts. Yeah.
So the first pick though was really cool because it's not really a hobby.
It's a hobby.
You sent this to me. I thought
smoke ring
type of hobby.
Yeah, it is.
Did you send me a wrong picture?
It's delicious.
Meat here.
That looks
the meat flaps here or something. That is smoked meat. Look at it.
So it's something I'd promised the 40k boys, but seeing I turned my back on playing competitive 40k, I said, well, we'll do brisket con, but it will be old world. So smoked up some lunch for the boys.
That looks
so jealous.
Can't go wrong. So
that looked good.
There's definitely some coleslaw.
Then you got trains. We got some pics of the armies here. I mean the beastmen, they're looking good. What do you have? Some chaos, got some battle. And those, the Gorgons look awesome, man.
Once again, it was like, in terms of the armies, they're obviously dictated to what people have been hoarding over the years. There's not a lot of new stuff apart from maybe Brett's with that launch box, but it was guys that are hoarders.
He's a good old board chariot with a beastman dude on it, so you can tell.
And obviously those new AOS sculpts have been super helpful for guys getting armies on the table.
That's good. It looks pretty. I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this, check it out later on YouTube. But just I'll put some links to the pics there. All the everything's pretty much had everything on mats pretty much. That's right, hey. And then just
trying to match the tones of the terrain to the mat. I think that's super important.
They look pretty good.
Is this tower that you've got, Josh, that you scouted? It looks pretty similar. Well, it's not. You 3D printed a tower for your.
That one's Stark's Fantastic Mills, Scottish dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, definitely
That's got
not
a cool little
different.
As one big piece of terrain, though, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like, if
it's
you
got a
can't go
cool little
through it.
bridge
Can
going
you? Are you
on,
allowed?
yeah.
Did you let people get under it if they wanted, or is it like right?
Yeah. Once again, it's sort of like, you guys discuss the rules. We've got some
Yeah.
basic rules, like interact with it, please.
I'm getting Mordor vibes off that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really cool.
Well, the roof looks a bit like what's the other one? I can't pronounce it. The other tower.
Isengard.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Nah, that's cool. Oh, and these little tents, are these the same as what
That's so
Dono
good.
has for his Mordenheim board?
Oh, for his
Little
Warhammer
Bretonnian
Oh, that's right.
tent
Yeah,
boards or
Yeah,
whatever they are.
panties.
they were super useful having those tents there because they create little pinch points. Although they seem really insignificant, it's a bit of canvas with some sticks. You still got to put your army through it, and it was super neat. And I think you can really have some really small pieces of terrain that affect the game. And,
Yeah.
obviously, everything's asymmetrical as well. I think that's super important in terms of having a good game.
These are the new Dark Oath Marauder Horsemen, aren't they? If I can see them right.
Yeah. That's my army there. That's actually a little bit of a practice game there.
I was literally going to say, is this yours? Because this is definitely a cool looking airbrushed army.
Yeah, you've done it too close, mate. Not all the leathers are done on that, but
looks good, man. That's just what I want to do. I seriously want to paint my. I've got Beastman in the box, and I want to do.
I smashed it out in like 2 weeks, man.
Yeah,
it
looks good.
Yeah,
looks really
some
good.
tricks.
Oh, hey, we've got an interactive picture here of the brisket in cooking in smoking mode. On the Barbie. Shouldn't say Barbie probably, but yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah, this looks. This would have been fun. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was an old bridge club down the road from us, so it was quite a big space and had a kitchen, and it was cool place. Not as salubrious as some of the RSL clubs and things that I went to in Australia, which were awesome. Like I love those places.
Yeah.
Did you is this like it doesn't have a bar or anything? It's just you just rent the place out, or
kitchen. Yeah. Like $250, and we could get 10 tables if we wanted to.
Yeah.
And parking, which is primo.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Does anyone travel? I mean, we talked about this prior to hitting record, probably, but you said New Zealand's a little bit like Australia. That sometimes there's a little bit of, you don't. I wouldn't say it's a big country, but at the same time, getting from one end to the other, people aren't just driving down all the time.
Yeah,
we've
got guys that travelled a couple of hours away, which was really cool. They came down from Palmy, which is still, that means getting up very early in the morning for a 8 o'clock start.
Yeah.
But definitely in terms of like, competitive stuff, people fly for 40K and that sort of thing. But there's also usually they're quite big, they're 40, 50 man events. So kind of worth your time in that respect. I've done teams and things like that, and really good communities. People get on with each other. There's no animosity really, except for South Island.
Does anyone have you guys ever done like a full, I don't know, like New Zealand one? Like is it small enough that you could almost get everyone to go centrally to a big tournament once a year, or does that happen with 40K or?
No, I mean the population pool is definitely Auckland. And I know they used to have masters for 40K, and I think the last time it was in Christchurch. So basically, just no one turned up apart from South Islanders. So it's just quite far, and it's that cost, like it's flights were cheap, and they're not anymore. So.
Right. Okay.
But hoping to do some sort of interactive stuff. I know Harry, the Heresy event organizer, is starting to look at linking up campaigns between Auckland and Wellington. So that's definitely something we could look at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be that's cool. It'd be good to get over there at some point. And I know there was I know when 8th was big in the ECT, and I know this is this is the competitive scene, but like the 8th had ETC teams, there was always a bit of sharing as well. I remember, I think some of the Aussie guys went and played for New Zealand and vice versa and stuff. So obviously there was a fair bit of, obviously, camaraderie and teamwork and help out between the Aussies and the New Zealands, especially having to then put all that work in and then fly overseas, to Europe to play and stuff. So I'm assuming it happens. Hopefully it'll happen in Old World. I'm assuming it happens in Heresy and all that stuff as well a little bit, just because we're so close. But
Wellington also, where we live, is literally the craft beer capital of New Zealand. So the yeah, the booze and food is pretty phenomenal around here, and real easy to get around to. Like good public transport, and yeah, it's great.
What's this is going to sound? What's the Middle Earth community like gaming wise? But did that take off down there? Or like,
yeah, it's still really big.
Is it?
One of the guys, Liam in the chat, does a lot of painting for it, and I think it's like fairly competitive. But there's some awesome painters, obviously, and it being a nice small skirmish game, people can really push the envelope. And
yeah. I mean, Josh was into that, and the hobby was spectacular. I think with that game.
It was awesome. Yeah. The terrain more than anything, really. I saw people go nuts with the terrain for the Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of
have so much freedom.
Like Wellingtonians, like, because there's a lot of government workers and kind of intellectuals, so to speak. There's just people that are quite artsy fartsy, and man, as far as I'm concerned, the painting is, it's the best in the country, and
top notch.
Yeah, it gives New South Wales a run for its money. Maybe not Melbourne, but yeah, pretty powerful hobbyists.
That's good. And you're obviously doing that. You're obviously doing that not full time because your kids are full time probably, but yeah, you're just doing that that's your job now, is it? Like you've given up brewing,
yeah. It was brewing just wasn't really enough money in it for 50 hours for 50 grand. So we go to the commission painting, spend a lot more time with my kids, and get to do something that I look forward to every day. Maybe not necessarily painting like trim on Chaos Space Marines, like I painted a few Thousand Suns armies, and let's just say I've done a few kilometers of gold trim. And,
I can't stand it just on normal Chaos dudes. I
have got some hacks though. I definitely got some hacks.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
God, but even Space Marines, like, I don't know, like I feel like I haven't painted many Space Marines, but when you look at that, like the heavy metal style, if you had to do it that way with all the little edging everywhere, drive me insane as well. Like, there's no one ever asked for that. They just like smash it out. You can make it look better. Yeah.
It's just, it also looks a little bit derpy too. Like it's less is very much more. I think in terms of Old World and Heresy. It's keep it clean.
I'm assuming like obviously you get into it during your painting. When you get into your painting, like tutorial, I suppose, for airbrushing, but I'm assuming like sci-fi, so obviously your 40k and your Heresy, do you have a different style of painting compared to fantasy? Like, does it actually change a lot?
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing, because obviously, I think Heresy was, it was sort of like early or late 2000s up to now, and a lot of the techniques weren't around when people were playing Old World. In terms of when I first started, so those Heresy techniques for painting big armies have bled into it. So obviously things like oil washes and that's probably one of the biggest thing. Weathering powders, all those sort of realistic scale modeling techniques you can now apply to Old World armies, and you can really get them done super quick because you're not having to layer up 6 layers of yellow or whites or things like that. So just the paint tech is attractive. Amazing. Yeah.
But it does feel like you got to do. I don't know. It's just, I guess it's just like you just got to do it. You just got to decide to do it and start doing it, I guess, and obviously learn to do it. But it's just so easy to the crutch, and you go back to what you've been doing for 15 years or whatever. Like
look,
style.
It took a long time to break that mold, because it is like an indoctrinated way of painting, and it's super rewarding, but it's very slow. No GW method.
Yeah. That's good. We could talk about it now if you want, like just go into painting. But I mean,
up to you, man. Like I could talk all day about that sort of stuff, Like,
do you want to finish up any of this pack here in terms of missions? Because there was a few little interesting things I thought might like Old World related that people like. It sort of flows in from our discussion last week about all the ways people are trying to balance the game with different comp things, but. I guess and I didn't realize this was straight up pretty much. What did you say? Firestorm games.
Yeah, pretty much borrowed from Firestorm games, and with a few tiny little tweaks on it, but effectively their missions, because I can't remember whose pod I watched, but they just said, "Look, we've fixed the Old World. It's made infantry great again." So that really excited me, and
cool. Mustn't have seen that.
Obviously, if you're avoiding kill points, you're kind of less likely to just try and alpha strike someone off the board.
Yeah.
and play interactive, and that's very much a Heresy thing too. And obviously, if there's less shooting due to less wizards, things aren't going to get blasted, and they can do some little missions on the board.
Well, actually, that's a good point. Before we even talk about the missions, like, how did it end up? Like, how did that come to pass? Did you say, was the composition of the armies what you wanted? And did people say that it played different to the competitive ones?
Feedback was good. Everyone seemed to have a good time, and there was only one game that was done very quickly, and that was a case of someone sort of not screening and just getting run at by, Chaos Warriors. So, that can happen, and you get a bit of a panic test. And as you guys will know, once you start running away, it's kind of hard to regroup. So generally, the games went to time. Some of the missions were quite give and take, like there was the one that was the loot and pillage, like having to actually hold on to a relic. That sort of thing is quite fun, and there's a little bit of give and take there. So, games went to time, and that wasn't from slow playing either. So, it was good.
Yeah, so the first one is like hold the ground. There's a thing in the center, like an objective. And so there's no kill points here. It's just all these different little tournament points, I guess, or scores that you get on the missions, right? And then, so this one is from rounds 3 to 6 at the end of the round. So that's the battle round, not the turn. Each player's turn is just the turn 3 to 4, turn 5 to 6. Whoever controls it, with the largest unit strength within 6 gets the point, I guess. Is that right? Yeah, so there's up to 4 points. And I mean, I don't know, like I've only played, I think I have done, well, CanCon, Josh, we had the cart one, which was sort of hold and try and keep. But outside of that, I don't think I've ever played something where like it counted up stuff until the other day when I played with Cam, that mission, which is sort of 40k style where, like you got to hold on to something and then you get points that, well, in this case, it was turns. So you really can clock up the points if you can sort of sit on things. And it just, it just totally changes the dynamic, and not in a bad way, because that was one of the issues that we thought at the beginning of Old World was you can't have missions like 40k because you can't get around the board, but then you can sit around the board. So I don't know. I think these are interesting.
There can be a case where I think we had a caveat that you had to have the only units that could score were units that had started on the board or had been in your roster. So obviously, if you've got some undead that you're just spawning onto objectives, and that can get a bit harrowing. But and also you can have a bit of a fait accompli. Like maybe you're going to win, but the point is you've still got a lot of your army to still play the game. So even if it's looking a little bit dicey in terms of scoring enough points, you're still able to muscle your army around the board and use your models, which is like kind of why we're here.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then the loot and pillage, like you said, it's like 3 objective markers, and you basically pick them up. And war beasts can't pick them up. What is it? Skirmishes can't. I guess skirmishes you can turn into, if you're allowed to move to close order, you could. I guess, is that right? I mean, not open order and then pick it up. Yeah. You can't do it with flying or marching column, and if you're below 5 units, you have to not march at all. So, and then obviously the longer you hold on, the more. How many's up for grabs on this one?
That was quite a few from memory. So I was 3. No, it was only 3.
Oh, okay. It's the other one's 24.
It's the other one that maxes out.
I actually like this one a little bit. So game 3 is the compass. It's that diagonal deployment, which is probably always the annoying one to set up, but whatever. But you're closer. But on top of that, then you dig table quarters. So I feel like I'm trying to think if I've done that before. It just feels like you've got these 2 areas which are right in everyone's deployment zones, technically, and then the other areas like no one's there. And I think that's kind of interesting.
That's a really interesting scenario.
I'm trying to think if I have played a scenario that does that in that board configuration, but I can't remember. And then on top of that, it's what is this one? This is each
end of player turn.
Yeah,
and I guess that's something that we do in Heresy. Normally in 40k, it's at the end of the battle round, or you've got to maybe survive for a whole, until your following turn, and it's quite punitive. There's nothing more feels bad than trying to like just hold on to an objective and just being battered off it, and then for what, it feels nice to clock up some points.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
this is interesting. So all 4 of them score every turn out of the 6. There's 24 all up.
Yeah, so you get 24 in total.
I think there's
That's
something
cool.
interesting with that. I just feel like it's pretty hard to probably get those other board, the ones that are most. It's hard to describe if you're not looking at it, but people know what I'm talking about with the diagonal one. But then when you split it into 4, pretty much that's your entire deployment zone, and then everything else is almost not, so it's out in the open. So,
but you get the score as long as you have a unit with unit strength 10 or more in it. Is that right? Like, it doesn't matter if what the opponent's doing. It's just you got to get that unit in there.
Yeah, move on the board.
quadrant.
Once again, the idea of being interactive,
cool.
right? It encourages interactivity, but also, you can think strategically, and you can chop some of those units down so they can't score anymore. So you can kind of remove it like a scalpel. Once again, it's not, it feels bad. You're not just smashing a unit. Yeah, you can kill people with kindness in games. I love winning games. People think I don't like competing. I friggin' love it. But I also don't want the game to be over turn 1 or 2. And that's my ethos.
Yeah,
especially us dads. That's our gaming weekend, and to have a 3-hour round and for the game to be over in the first turn, it's kind of got to ask yourself why you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's not community for me.
Especially not only that, you've spent all this time painting these awesome figures, and then someone takes them off turn 1 or something. You're like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. And you always know that's going to happen with the best figure you just painted. It's going to go. But anyway.
Yeah, so shout out to Firestorm Games. Like, try and hunt down that player pack out, and we sort of I just adapted those missions a tiny bit. And there's a few sort of vagaries maybe that we would change, but I think they're really good.
Yeah.
It was sort of proof of concept. Like, basically, I want to start doing some Heresy missions, like a supply drop one where you've got objectives that move, that sort of thing, or War of Lies where you don't actually know. You roll the dice at the end of the game to see how much they're worth.
I think those ones would be interesting. Like, obviously you played Heresy. I haven't. What I've always thought, like I said, my comment before about how much is 40k is a lot. Well, 40k is different, I guess, but it's a lot more movable, like maneuverable. Whereas fantasy is a little bit more locked in, but you can see definitely some of those missions that still carry over. Is that what you're saying? Like,
and you still move around the board, and everyone's running cavalry, so things are fairly mobile anyway. And if you're standing back and doing nothing, well, that's like I say, it's sort of uninteractive. But I think you can really dig through a lot of those old Games Workshop books. That's where a lot of the missions are, and just tweak them out, make them work, and incentivize blocks of infantry, because that's really the crux of the matter.
Yeah, makes it look like an army then, doesn't it? Yeah. It's good. And then
I was going to say, did dwarves have problems with these scenarios, or
not especially, because they have got fairly good leadership, and as long as you once again, you don't just stand there as a gun line. You start moving early game and go there and hold it, and it just forces the dwarf player to play a bit differently, really.
I also think there's not too far. Nothing's in someone else's deployment zone. If you know what I mean.
No, it's not a far reach. No.
So that's why I actually liked it. I actually look at this, even this bottom one. You think, if you got a big unit of infantry and you just march into that other one, you're not moving. So it's almost like.
Even dwarves have nice blocks that just kind of take a pounding and just sit there.
Yeah. Even just in your deployment zone, you've got access to 3 quadrants. Like,
that's right. Yeah.
Straight up in your deployment. So I don't feel that dwarves would be disadvantaged by that one at all.
Yeah, no. That's interesting. And then I did note this when I was looking through here. And hopefully this happens more and more, and Games Workshop probably could do a better job in the next version, but just more variety in terrain. And I like that you sort of went straight out and went, obviously there's impassable, like you made woods difficult, waters are dangerous. You got Ploud's difficult, and you got the Ruins as well as dangerous for everyone, even like flies and everyone, I guess. So you a little bit of variability as much as you could without changing the rules of the game. Because I'd really like to see, especially Ruins and those Ploud things and water features in. Like, I feel like with what they gave us in the rule book, I know they said, oh, you can do whatever you want and there's dangerous terrain and stuff, but it felt like we didn't. Everyone just falls back to hills, woods, and impassable.
And that was like keeping it interesting for me, printing off terrain as well. Like, I'm trying to set up interesting looking boards, and I know Rob's obviously done the river one. So that was something I remember from my childhood was having these rivers that were too hard to cross. I think,
Yeah, well, he put them right down the middle of the board, didn't he?
Yeah, totally. It's on a great big ping pong table, It took me hours to get across there. It was great.
Yeah. No, I made a massive set of rivers still out there in the. Oh, I might have thrown them out actually in my last cleanup. So I've now got a 3D print. It's time to actually replace the ones I made as a kid and actually do them properly. I haven't got there yet. I'm so for these. You've got how do you say it? Asymmetrical.
Yeah, asymmetrical. Yeah. One of the things I know from reading and seeing Rob's events, he's very much about having things even. But then, like the whole point is you win the roll off for deployment, and there's got to be a reason for it. And I love the fact you can look at a board and not know what you're going to do, and that's a big part of competitive 40K is the fact that all the terrain is now effectively laid out before you to the point where people are able to put a rhino, a predator, and know that any event they go to, they're going to have lines of sight.
Yeah,
and
I know. That's what's
and it's to the point where it's actually being pre-rehearsed what you're doing,
I just feel like that is weird because I know they're not going to say it's a war game, but I'm like, I don't think they're.
It's a simulation.
Yeah,
it's literally a simulation that you've practiced at home, and then you're just carrying out your plan. And I like a little bit of randomness and.
Yeah. No, it feels like. Actually, I can't remember what the results of that survey was actually because they did ask this on the survey, and I can't remember what the result of it was, but it feels like definitely at least New Zealand, Australia are all about the non-symmetrical layout. So hopefully we keep most of them. I'm fine with it sometimes and stuff. It doesn't bother me. But to me, it's just taken a bit. Again, it's that soul of the game a little bit gone when you do that, when it's just too clinical. So, but anyway, each to their own.
Yeah, takes away the immersion a bit to me.
Yeah. So, we're trying to printing them off. Is that like FDM?
So I had a 3D printer in Australia, FDM printer, and it was one of the sort of early models. I mucked around with one over COVID, and then just did a bit of research, and I got a Creality CR10 SE. Basically, it's a standard sort of build plate, like a 250mm square, but it's really fast. It's I can knock out sort of like 2-3 pieces of terrain a day, and I picked that up for just under $1,000. It's expensive. It's 3 times the price of an entry level one, but it's 3 times as fast effectively.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah, because that's one of the things with it's FDM in general is pretty slow, wasn't it? Is that what they said?
Yeah, it definitely was. And when I first started, I did a little bit at high school when I was a teacher, and you had to worry about overhangs. Now you don't even need to worry about overhangs. It actually defies physics. A lot of those prints you can do now. Unlike obviously resin printing.
Yeah, but I've seen heaps of people are sharing pics all over the place where they're like, I can't believe this is like FDM print. You can't even tell. It's just like, and the fact that it's safe and stuff as well, it makes you wonder if that's the one that'll eventually, people will end up printing a lot of stuff with, because like it's just the resin's good, but it's not a kid friendly thing.
It's pretty toxic.
So,
the meth lab.
it's basically like that.
In terms of getting paint on there, like I like obviously I airbrush, but airbrushing is still a lot fairly slow. So I just got into using graffiti cans. So just from the art store, because they're actually quite cheap. I wouldn't necessarily recommend painting miniatures with them because they can be a little bit kind of chalky, but I use them because they're super quick, and you can get shades like you can get GW paints. You can get your light ochre and your dark ochre, and just you can get.
There's
two
that for the
cans
terrain, or you doing
for the
that
terrain.
just terrain?
right.
For the terrain. So you're getting two different tones, and you're able to just blast it, and then go around with the airbrush and just hit some shadows and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
cool.
sweet.
Do you do any washing or oil over the?
Yeah, so I've made.
Well, or?
Yeah, I have done oils in the past, but they can react if you use like enamel primers to begin with. But also on that sort of scale, it ends up being quite expensive. So I just looked into that. You would have seen those how to make your own
actually,
earth shade and that sort of thing.
Yeah, one of our patrons sent me the thing about that as well. Yeah,
so matte, medium, some inks, or it can be just some old paints you've got and a little bit of dishwashing liquid. But that matte, medium, and water is amazing. And I chuck in an old mustard bottle and I shake it up and I just just brush it on.
Yeah, cool. I have to look into that because I wouldn't mind getting more terrain printed out and stuff as well. But I don't know. I've only got the resin printer, so I don't know if it's printed stuff as well. And Josh, you do that with yours. They pump out stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You end up using quite a lot of resin.
Yeah,
one of the cheapest.
Yeah, no.
One thing I do is you just find someone that has got one. And you just do trades, you print the resin, they sort you out with terrain.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a marriage made in heaven. It's real good.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. What about how do you find trees and stuff? Have you printed that?
Yeah.
Or do you...
Trees are super important because as much as I love, they look really good on mass. Those those bottle brush trees you can get from the hobby store. I love my deer trees. So once again, Dark Fantastic Mills, they had some trees as an add-on, and they're quite big, which I like because it obviously occupies a lot of space, and they came with a footprint. But I did have some ones with canopies that were from Printable Scenery. So just have a look for Printable Scenery canopy, and they were amazing. Those ones.
But the other one was, what was that? Dark what? What's the other one?
Dark Fantastic Mills, as far as I know, is in Scotland, and just some killer terrain. A lot of it is he prints to order, but there are some bundles on there that I got. Like I got that
okay, you can get the actual file. So it's both, is it? Or
some of it's
Have
both.
You seen these, Josh?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, these are cool.
That looks awesome.
Yeah. So as I say, some of it's print to order, but there are some little STL packs, and they're just really gorgeous. Like there's that fine,
pretty.
Love it.
There's a fine line between stuff looking really derpy and just being real crisp, and when you found the good terrain.
What is this thing?
It's a castle.
Reminds me of that, what's that movie where they're like they're in like cities and they're like attacking each other?
Yeah.
It was a pretty shit movie.
I'm not sure. I was actually thinking about Howl's Moving Castle.
It's not not Dark Materials. I can't. No, that's cool. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look through it. Guess like Printable Scenery, whatever it's called, up like them and that. Oh, what's the other ones? I can never say it because it's Zali.
Yeah, Zali Factory. That's another
whatever
one.
Zali Factory.
They're great. Their movement trays are phenomenal as well. So you've literally said the three that I go to, and obviously there's the odd free one as well online. You find some real gems when you have a good look.
Yeah. I know the one Josh likes too, Tabletop. They've started. I've seen they got another Kickstarter. I think they're doing an STL next or something for something else.
Are they?
So,
They're doing more
I
STL. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Something like that anyway.
Oh, that'd be awesome if they are.
But it's definitely a hobby within a hobby. Like it's, like that's that. I guess that's why we play miniatures, right? We love that sense of scale, and there's nothing that really sells that idea than actually printing your own little worlds.
It just looks. That's
what
that's what I like about it when you set up the armies and they just look. I mean, just with it. I don't like playing on. I mean, you're in a tournament, you play on whatever's there, but like, it's nice when people make the effort to have some decent scenery as well and all that. Just the whole thing's immersive then,
Yeah, and really helps sells it to other people. You know, like if
Yeah.
you've ever been at a mixed gaming event, you want to be on that game that people are coming over and having a look. You know, at what's going on. And, sense of
Yeah,
pride
we get a
for the
few,
boys.
like, because we're probably the only old worlders really playing at that one we go to sometimes, Thirsty Messiah Brewery. And,
so jealous of
there's
that. That wasn't open when I was in.
Yeah, no, and there's a few Heresy. There's always at least always two Heresy games going. But yeah, you definitely get people coming over looking at Old World, which is pretty cool.
You're on a limit, so it gets so hard there, I find, because like people are trying to like have a chat, but like they close, so you kind of like, I think you've only got is it like a 2.5 hour window to get a game out?
Something like that, or 3.
Yeah.
Well, we're always last.
That's pretty tight for a casual game.
I don't know. The front bar's always open with music still playing, so who knows? But yeah, we definitely have been the last people out almost.
You're living the dream, eh? You really are. Like that's so good.
They're packed like they had to
Yeah,
I don't know how many people on that list now. So they've definitely he's hit something there. He's hit something there running a brewery. He's got music out the front most of the time. I think he has the other day they had to move it because they had the Newcastle Knights game was on, so they had people come and either was it on or they were just televising it with people there. I can't remember. Does anyone know if the Knights played last Thursday? I can't remember. But yeah, so they ended up having to move it because there was just so many people either coming for that. There's the music on every Thursday, and then obviously the gamers as well. It just it packs it out. So, and it's in the middle of, I don't know. You know, sometimes when you see someone put a shop or a bar somewhere, you go, "Why are you doing that?" That's like no one lives there. And then it's going well. So I'm good. Yeah, it's so lucky. And obviously they're supported by Frontline a bit, and they've got decent. You know, they're building up their own scenery and stuff in there as well. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, so, I mean, while we've still got you there, like the painting, obviously we've touched on this. And if you've listened to our pod, you've heard me talk a lot about, and even Josh is a bit like that. He uses the airbrush for pretty much undercoating and zenithal at the moment, eh?
I don't have a permanent spot to leave it set up, which makes it hard to use regularly.
Well, I guess is there tips for that? Like I've literally just I can't show you, but I've literally just set mine up almost. Should I try and move it? No, it's too dark. And I've got like my 2 airbrushes on a little holder on the side of the desk, and I'm like, okay, I'm all ready, but then I've been too busy, haven't used it. But I'm like, yeah, is there tips for like, I don't know, it feels like getting in and out of it, you know, in terms of getting the paint in, cleaning it up, so that stuff doesn't take ages. Like, is that?
Well,
I don't know,
the first thing is find a very supportive partner, and I'm lucky my wife has allowed me to set up in the lounge. So the fact we've got quite a small place in town, you know. So having it set up is the biggest thing, right? That's your biggest barrier is fluffing around and setting up anything. It's the same as, you know, having a workshop. You really want your tools
guitars
there
on the wall because you just need them, otherwise you won't play them if they're.
That's right.
Play them, but yeah.
So, you know, but there are things like I at one point had one on a trolley. So, you know, you can even get something like a trolley on wheels and you can close it down. Getting something like a bureau, like one of those old writing desks, you could kind of do that so it doesn't look ugly. And in terms of like setup, like health and safety, like, you know, I'm big on that. Is you really want to vent it to a window if you can. So I'm not spraying any toxic paints, but all dust is bad for you. So you want to watch your acrylic paint. So I just made myself a DIY Bunnings fan, a wide pre-wide fan, and a box and an LED light, and I just fang it out the window. So
yeah. And so you do that even with the acrylic, or is it more?
Yeah, I'm always using a booth. It just, you know, in theory, you should be using a mask, but also if you've got a really good extractor, you're firing that away from you and straight outside. And also dust is bad.
But
yeah.
But I mean, again, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing it all the time. You're doing it all the time. Yeah. Which again, not the greatest excuse for me, but at the same time, I am debating that in my head. I'm like, does it matter? Because I don't do it heaps. But then if I am going to do it more,
but if you do it more, if you do a whole basement army in 2 weeks,
yeah.
Any health and safety is good at health and safety. Yeah, and then in terms of like, I mean, that's the thing. If you can set up somewhere or have it as a movable rig, so you can just go and do it, because you really do want to be having, you know, a session whereby you spend a couple of hours, getting stuff done.
Make it worth it.
Yeah, and things like pre-basing things beforehand as well. I think a lot of people get lost in the sauce on sub-assemblies. I think generally it's a waste of time, apart from maybe a shield.
Yep.
Try and like the less you have to handle something, the better, I think.
Yeah, it's all those little tips, isn't it? Like, don't go back. Yeah, paint the color once type thing almost as well, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah.
And in terms of like some tips for the airbrush and things like that, like I definitely use, and I, especially in Australia, I use flow improver. So I don't know if you know the difference between flow improver and thinners. Yeah. So thinners makes it dry faster. So it thins it down. It's, as far as I know, it's got a bit of alcohol in it, so that sort of obviously evaporates and speeds up the drying. But the flow improver is it basically gives the paint body, and it's got a retarder in it, so it slows the paint down. So obviously the perennial problem with the airbrush is you're going to get dry tip. So it dries on the tip. If you can get that flow improver, and I literally only use flow improver and water to thin the paint out.
Yeah,
and,
cool.
Any old paint, doesn't matter what brand, just use that and find a mix that works for you. And I've always got like an old toothbrush in my pot of water that I dump out, so that you can quickly scrub the needle tip. And that's one of the problems.
And you just end up like then just shooting enough through it to make sure that paint's gone, and then load up the next batch. Go.
Yeah.
Is that sort of what you're doing? Yeah.
Yep. And because I've got it set up, I generally leave my airbrush wet as well. So I'm not even doing like a full deep clean and disassembly. I'm leaving it with some cleaner in it and some water in it, because I'm coming back to it within a couple of days.
So when you say that, so if you loaded up the water and everything in the actual thing, shot a bit through it and leave it there. Yeah.
Obviously, I've run some cleaner through it, but that's what I leave, and leave the parts moist. And I've been running the same airbrush for years now. And
because that's what, whenever you're reading, it's like, do it. And at the end of the session, do your full pull down, and you're like, like this when you start going. But like, and again, if you can sit down for 2 or 3 hours and paint, that's great. But sometimes when you're not in that, when you don't have a tournament and you're not smashing it out, sometimes it's more like, I just want to sit. I'll just do that little bit. So it's easy with the brushes, just to, half an hour, just smash something out. That's when I'm like, I can't be asked trying to kick the airbrush in. But that's because in my head, it feels too much work for that. Like, not only the tear down, but also I have to get, I don't know, I feel like I've got to learn, and I just do that by talking to people, like just how to make it easy to mix the paint and get it in there, and all, you know what I mean? Like all the little things just make it right. Because I mean, I've still got bloody Citadel pots. I don't even, you know what I mean? Like Josh has at least put all his Citadel paints and stuff into freaking droppers and stuff.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nice.
I'm not sure about that. I'm actually. See, I might be controversial, but I don't mind it. I'm obviously behind me. I've got a few paints here, but I run both. And have you ever had a dropper bottle clog up on you and you've blown the friggin' end off it?
You got to just be aware if it's not coming out when you're putting pressure on it. Check the nozzle.
You're smart, aren't you a vet? You sort of like processes.
It's like, it's not coming out. Maybe I'll turn it over and have a look at it.
You just got to keep pushing. When you fail, you just try again. Doing the same thing.
The other thing too is, that will clog up one is when you've there's a little bit of paint inside your cup, and you mix it with your paintbrush, and you'll get the skin, the dried paint, and obviously that comes from the dropper bottles as well. Sometimes you'll have a little piece fall in. And so I don't mind like a G-dub pot, and I'm always just using a paintbrush and putting it in there. And there's another tip as well. Never put
so you don't use eyedroppers or like the little dropper things? Okay.
Just literally just either drop it if it's in a dropper bottle, get a paintbrush and put it in there. But the most important thing you can do is never put the paint in first. Always put your flow improver or your water in first, because that first shot, you don't want it to be straight paint if it's not entirely mixed. So
that's a really good tip.
That's a tip. That's number one tip.
It's always wet. If it's wet, it can't dry out. Yeah.
Actually, if we're doing these sweet little tips, I've got
so important.
For the new guys at home, or like the people that might be thinking of getting into airbrushing, I've always had that philosophy of like all the gear, no idea, because like I tend to get good stuff and don't know what I'm doing, and sometimes it doesn't pan out that well. But if you're starting out, do you reckon you could go? Because obviously it seems like from what you're saying, there's quite a bit of technique to it, as in like, you know, you got to have the right consistency, this and that. Do you reckon it's worth somebody going out and getting a $100 sort of airbrush, or would you almost recommend going straight out and getting something around, you know, that $300 mark?
Yeah, I've been doing this recently. Like a lot of the guys down the club, you know, I did say before we talked that I could rant about airbrushes, and my idea is to convert people into airbrushing, because it's, if you can, it's amazing. The best thing is you don't need to spend a lot of money on the compressor. So there's a compressor called an AS186, and it's a tank compressor, and it has a fan on it, which is important for Australia because obviously it's hot and you don't want it to overheat and then it stops working until it's cooled down. So spend the money on the AS186 compressor. They often come with a really cheap airbrush, and to be honest, I haven't actually used one, but you know, there's a reason why they're effectively giving you a free airbrush for the compressor. My thing, by all means, start with it, man. Like, get going, have a play. But what I recommend, and once again, I'm not paid. I have to pay for my own ones. Is I use an Iwata Eclipse HPCS, and I call it the Toyota Corolla of airbrushes. And the biggest thing here, and the reason why it's good, is because the actual nozzle, without going into a scientific diagram, the nozzle is removed. It's an Iwata Eclipse HPCS. It's like their bog standard one. It's roughly about $300. You know, they've gone up recently, but anywhere from $250 to $300. And they have a removable nozzle. So unlike some of the other cheaper Iwatas, you have to use a spanner and actually take the little tip off. This one is a press fit. So I can just pull it out and I can run the needle in it, push out the little bit of dried up paint in there, and I can be good to go. So, And in terms of getting going and all the gear and idea, best thing is I've had some mates come over and I've spent an hour with them and just talk them through it. You know, you can get that analysis paralysis of wondering what do I need, but you literally need to sit down with someone who knows what they're doing, and I'll show you what to do, and you don't make all those mistakes. I've had some guys just smash out some stuff and really, you know, I don't really want to be put out of business, but if someone can learn from me in an hour and start like painting at my level, it's a bit of a worry.
You need to start doing some paid tutorials.
Well, I have actually been doing. I've been having some students come around, which is really cool. Actually, I love it. You know, I love it. Because I've got the time. You know, I've got the time to be able to do the painting, and I want people to make the most of their time they've got hobbying.
And I just think it's weird. Like, I probably have, as you get older, my kids are older, I probably have technically more time. So like, I don't really care about the time, although then you get busy. And now because technically I've got more money now to buy more armies and stuff, I feel like now I also want to paint quicker because I'd rather just get more armies out. Whereas when I was little, I had one army or whatever. So you're sort of just painting one, but now you're like, I want to get this done. You know me, I'm like Beastman, my Empire again, although I probably won't ebb. Well, actually, can I ask you about that?
For sure, man.
Beastman, Chaos, I can see how I can smash them out, even like demons, things like that. What do you do when you hit something like, I don't know, Empire or High Elves or like, you know, is this...
So I mean, I've got a little bit of stuff on on Insta, in terms of, but I haven't got a lot of old world stuff that I put on Instagram. But I've recently just painted. I've set up to paint about 3 or 4 thousand points worth of Empire, and what I've done is done a technique. It's basically doing all the undershading. So I've used a lot of browns and off whites and things like that, and basically built up the base. You know, we're talking before about GW method, which is paint everything the mid-tone and then shade it down and then highlight it. Whereas with airbrushing, we're generally starting really dark and we're lightening it up to a point where we've got it up to white, and then we're just shading back down again. So if you're doing, let's just say you're doing Britannia and there's lots of obviously light, bright colors, you're going to be wanting to do a shade that goes all the way from browns on your horses up to the whites. Then I use a bit of blue tack and things like that, and I'll just mask off with blue tack and blow the color on But you've built up a tonally modeled with all your creases and folds with the browns and things like that. You've built up the volumes, and all you're doing then is maybe using some contrast through the airbrush or just some good foundation paint.
Do you go back and do any brushwork on some?
I try to avoid it, but obviously you've got to do things like that. So leather straps, there's some amazing brown contrast paints.
Yeah,
you're hitting
just
those.
Go over anything. Yeah.
If it's things that are a little bit more left of center, like demons, I use a lot of purple for shading, because obviously it doesn't matter if you get overspray, because purple's such a great universal shadow color. But you can get in, if you've ever played with an airbrush, you can get in pretty close. Like you can do a 2mm line, and obviously using oil washes as part of that technique as well. It hides a lot of sins.
What's your go-to contrast brand?
Sorry?
What was your go-to contrast brand?
I don't know. It's all horses for courses, right? Because some of them, as you know, like a weasel piss, they've just got no guts. They're terrible. Some of them have got too much opacity, like they're
all over the shop.
So you just literally find, you talk to your mates and someone says this is really good, So like for yellow, I'm always doing the classic pink pre-shade with white, and then using that Imperial Fist contrast for yellow. It's just amazing. I've done lots of yellow and hazard stripes and things like that using that combination.
You don't just go Citadel, like you're all over the shop. Like obviously you're talking about droppers, so you got Leho and
all sorts, man. And I can definitely give you like white. I think you guys were talking a little while ago about like how do you make the creamiest white, and just having a really crisp, a crisp white. I often use it's called Deck Tan, so Vallejo Deck Tan, and it's like you might have seen it before. It's like a browny grey. And it's such a good opaque color that you can really thin down, and it just has amazing coverage. And then I'll use I also any of the Vallejo whites seem to be pretty good. And for paints that are easy to get, it's quite hard to get things like Monument and P3 and things like that. But those Vallejo whites are generally pretty good. And then you can tweak them out with some white ink if you want more opacity, more coverage. Some adding that to the paint as well, so I can thin the white down and get a smooth white, because that's the trick, right? You want to get the paint as thin as you can, so it's not going to dry out, but you want maximum opacity.
That's a really good point, throwing some ink in. I never even thought of it. That's awesome.
How do the contrast go through? Because that's obviously they don't have that contrasty effect as much, do they?
No, they don't, and that's why all that under once again, we're on a sort of a podcast and haven't necessarily got the tutorial step by step, but you are making that tonal modulation underneath, So if I'm painting red cloaks, I've got purple in the shadows, and then I'm blowing the contrast over, and then that's going to be that purple pre-shade's going to show through in the shadows, and the nice bright whites I've got in there are going to make it vibrant. They can splatter a bit, so you still definitely thin paints. I mean, there's a bit of a misnomer that you buy an air paint and it's just good to go raw dog straight in the airbrush, but you're always thinning your paints, and especially contrast, I think, too.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's finding
when you're saying thinning, you're like, are you always putting water and flow improver, or just
So I've definitely started using more water over recent years, but actually doing it with a proper dropper, easy water will just thin something too much. So I'm normally using like 50-50 flow improver and water, but just being very, I've got like a little squeezy dropper bottle, and just being very pedantic about how much water goes in it, because too far and it's too wet again, and so you can't bring it back to thick again.
Yeah, that's when you get sort of that spidery effect, right? Like it just
spider's too thin, and splatter is too thick. And also your proximity helps with that too, and having it at the right PSI, which is just basically 25 PSI.
There you go, people go, we're going to fucking brush out.
So does flow improver break the surface tension of water a bit as well?
I'm not that I'm aware of. It's mainly the fact that it actually gives it some body, so it's it gives it that viscosity. With the
so it's just not
retardant
properties. Okay.
I like that you gave us some good tips here, though, for
that's awesome.
for the Australian market as well.
It's a little bit scattergun, but it's humid, humid and dry over there, man. Especially in Melbourne, right? Like I still remember those 45-degree days after, after some bushfires. It's insane.
Yeah, it's just we seem to, you always hear and you're listening to a lot of podcasts, obviously out of Europe, UK and stuff. You're like, dude, we have the opposite problem here, like it's
doesn't dry you.
Anyway, well, man, that was really good. Thanks for coming on, Carl. Did you want to get to bed, or did you?
I think it's just after midnight, and I'm probably.
I think that's
right.
Man. I tried to write some of these links, but I might hit you up if I missed any, just in terms of some of the stuff you just mentioned.
Yeah, for sure. And like I'm always, I've got my Instagram handle there. Like, shoot me a message if anyone's listening and they want some like tips. Like, I'm more than happy to help you out. That's part of being in the community. It might be helping people play the game, but it's also had a hobby. And I'm not sponsored by anyone, so I won't give you any bullshit, man. Just like how to do it. And
I love it, man. That's
it's awesome.
Yeah, and also like big thank you to you guys for just a big part of being in the hobby is actually pumping people up and giving them getting them frothing about the hobby. And it's very much something that
I'm pumped now. This
is frothing us.
But, it's so cool to have that weekly content that just makes people excited about the hobby, because if people aren't excited, the game just dies, and that's kind of what we're trying to do here. So
100%.
Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
No worries. Thanks for reaching out. Let's do it again. Yeah, and hopefully next time I'll show you some of my airbrush stuff once I get off my ass and get it going.
Do it. Get those contrasts going. Get those dark coats done. Yeah.
Cheers, I appreciate the Foghorn brewery.
Oh yeah,
I was hoping you'd notice that.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And also Carrington Bowling Club, man. Carrow Bowling Club, like. Shout out to Jackie.
I go there all the time.
How good. I love Joe and Jesse, man.
I'll get my members card.
Yeah, love it. Yeah.
That's funny. That's so what a small world, but obviously, Awesome. We'll see you around. Cheers, Carl.
Awesome. Cheers, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was awesome, man. I need to get this airbrush.
That was so funny.
That was gold.
Yeah, so much good advice.
I can't believe Carl's lived in Newey, lived in Melbourne, right? Both this stuff thing. What the hell? But he's in New Zealand. Yeah.
New Zealand.
When he sent me the text, he didn't mention initially. He just said, wouldn't mind coming on, sprouting the scene and stuff. And and he goes, no, I used to live behind the grain store. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, and then also.
And then Melbourne. Yeah, and then he tells us he was in Melbourne before that. Wow. That's awesome. I've got. I tried to grab some of those links. I'm definitely going to put them on the show notes, guys. I need to find.
We all need to have a lesson with him.
I know. Well,
actually, show us what the hell is doing.
I know he should do, like Miniature Realms does. Like Stu from that does like a paid thing through through video, like stuff like that. I've thought of doing that and getting him for an hour, but at the same time, I support something like that too as well. Just. Yeah, it must be frustrating though if you did that through a video. You'd be like, "Oh, I just want to show you how to do it. You're not doing it right, you shithead."
Yeah, it would be a bit hard.
But at the same time, he's right.
Yep.
But
it's so annoying.
Kendall and all that. Like we got heaps of people here who do stuff. I just never really bothered to fully reach out and go, "Can you come over and show me how to use my stuff?"
Yeah.
It is different having someone show how to do something that rather than trying to learn from it off a YouTube video, because people being there, they'll tell you what you're doing wrong. That's probably the most important thing.
And it is airbrushing.
Stop doing that like that, man. That's wrong.
The first thing is just that whole consistency. Like he would just, you'd see him straight away put the water and then the flow improver in, and then get some paint on his brush, and you go, that's the consistency. Whereas no one can describe. They always go, it's like milk or whatever it is,
Milk.
Skim milk. So what the fuck's that?
Not fucking working.
Honestly, putting the water and flow improver in first before the paint is a massively helpful tip, to be honest.
We need some.
I start firing, it's like, and it just dries immediately. I'm like, fuck, bloody airbrush.
Episode 84, the number one tip to improve your airbrushing. with Carl.
If you can't take anything out of here,
That's
it's the
clickbait, that
favorite
one.
Waterfills. That was so good.
No, that's awesome. Anyway, let's smash through into the second half of the show. But before we do that, do you want me to shout out these awesome patrons and then jump into a couple of questions there, I think?
My favorite people.
Let's go
Cool.
for it.
So, for those who missed that, big thank
Go
you
for it,
to
for it.
Silver Dave, who's still our newest patron
Dave.
member, I think.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, he was here last week. Yep. Sporadic
Yep.
Sanity, Mark, Nick, Grant Vanderbosch, Chris Bowler, Drunkhummer, Nate, Ben, Shooter Louie, Eugene Sheffield, Benoit, Ed Fawcett, sorry, Ed, Cam the Dentist, James McKellen, Liam Fallon, Tommy Kublin, Jay McBride, who I watched a YouTube video of her comedy show the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
So,
It was actually really funny.
yeah, it was funny. So awesome, Jay. I
Check it out.
I don't know if I popped up in Instagram or something. I don't know which account I was on because I've got like 4. And then I went, hey, what the hell? That's Jay. Like I just saw the name and I went, oh, must have connected us. So
Yeah,
that's
I
cool.
don't know how it popped up with me. I don't know, like, I swear.
Well, have you logged into Old World Fanatics Instagram?
Yeah.
So I think it came through there, and then obviously it popped onto my normal one as well. So I don't know, who knows. Anyway, yeah, it was pretty funny. So check out that. I didn't realize comedian. So anyway, Flatworld's Edge, Sexy, Jelly, Herald of the Old World, Keel Herd, David Dodd Lancaster, Tommy Dogs, Matthew Klein, Thumper, Matt Morris, Perfidy, Griff, Jess Tools, Wood Duck, Josh Griffiths, Nananum, Daniel Broadstock, Jonathan Wengler, Elliot Mitchum, Gilthos, Draconos, Diesel, Danny Gamer, Robert Z. Well, I'll mention him this time. OG Whirler, Tainted, Bobby Gherkin, Galwin Shaw, Richie, Todd Lloyd, Chapstick. As much as he hasn't changed his name, well, he's still paying us. So
Yeah.
so I've got to give him a
Can't
shout.
complain. I feel like
There he goes. He's
like
probably
you can't
trolling
not
us
shut
now
him
that he
up.
wasn't chaining. That's what it is. He's seeing how long. Yeah. That's funny. Anyway, big thank you, guys. You don't obviously have to join over to patreon.com/oldworldfanatics. You can just like, subscribe, and drop us a comment about your airbrush tips or a question for Carl. And I'm assuming he'll get back to you or we'll send it to him. So, guys, questions. Do we have some? Yes, we had 1 or 2. I think.
I believe we had a couple.
Oh, yeah, Perfidy. Oh, well, one's not really a question, but it is got. Perfidy said, Empire Arcane Journal focus when? Yeah, that was supposed to be last week. Sorry. Well, not supposed to be. I was trying to work that out with ASB, but we'll sort it out
Oh, Perfidy.
because we also have to do another episode of his. Now it's going to be on me now. Josh got his one off the.
You boys gave him an inch, now they want a mile.
He's at a loss. He's like, what happened? Faction Focus, the Brett Faction Focus came out. Now what am I going to ask for now?
Yeah. So there he's gone. Empire Arcane Journal focus when, and I guess Cult of Slanesh focus when, and screw it. How about Ogre Kingdom focus faction when? Good point on the Ogre Kingdoms. They're sort of like, what do you reckon? Well, actually, I've probably got the Old World Fanatics. Old World rankings. I wonder what the least played is. It's probably still Skaven and stuff, but Ogre Kingdom's probably down there. And actually, I do have those stats now, so
probably as bad as each other.
Don't have to wonder it, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then anyway, I don't have anything lined up for Ogre Kingdoms.
Surely it'd be Skaven because I played 2 Ogre Kingdoms at CanCon. Like, I don't mind.
Yeah, no, they're not. It'd be Lisman and Skaven, definitely. I think.
Yeah,
and I literally have that because I added faction stats in Old World rankings the other day. Actually, Demons is down the bottom. So it's Skaven, then Demons, Lisman, and then Ogre Kingdoms. Out of that stat is tournaments played, so 632, 857 7 games. Lisbon have only appeared 221 times, and Skaven 189 times so far in my stats anyway.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's
They're all
crazy.
underground.
Considering how
to rise.
popular, it's one of the most popular armies.
You know what's
Especially in 8, they were everywhere in 8.
You know what's really? I guess this isn't any surprise, but it's almost the order. It's not really, but it's a little bit off. It's Warriors of Chaos, Kingdom of Bretonia, Ogre Kingdoms, Tomb Kings, Dwarven Mountain Holds, High Elf Realms, Empire of Man. They're pretty close, and then Beastmen. Well, Vampire counts in there, but I have to exclude them technically. Beastmen, and then Wood Elves. It's almost the release. Almost like if a couple spun around, it's almost the release order of the things, which is probably no surprise. But obviously, Warriors at the top. But that's no.
Is that most popular?
It's
So is that
faction
the-
tournament appearances. So
Ah,
how
okay,
many
okay,
times an
right.
army's
Sorry, I didn't know
appeared.
what
Yeah,
stat you were
Yeah,
reading.
sorry,
out.
sorry. How many times they've appeared in a tournament? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
kind of funny.
I love
That is
the world
funny.
rankings. Just
Maybe
any
I'll bring
stat-
that up in my hobby because that's all I did.
And
So,
now,
yeah.
now, I want to be interesting if you would have changed the date range and see
Well,
if that alters
gosh,
if you bring
Josh, I
it
can't do
forward.
that yet. That's a sneak. That's a new bit I want to do. That's not there yet. Yeah, but it will be.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. That's
Sorry, I'll
right.
cut that out.
No. It's not a secret, but I just hate not being able to deliver there. Yeah. No, but I do want a date range that has like the different rules, so you can sort of look at faction appearances
That'd
based
be
on when
awesome.
things came out, because it does get a bit murky otherwise sometimes. You know what I mean? So yeah. The questions though. So anyway, going back to that, the Ogre Kingdoms, who knows when, but Empire
Yeah.
Arcane Journal will happen. So I'm doing the Old World of Oz pod maybe this week, or definitely should be next week. So then I will sort it out then. So hopefully soon.
Yes.
I don't know about
Yeah.
Cult of Slanesh. I feel like, Josh, you're going to have to get a few games of Cult of Slanesh faction link, won't you? Oh, he's going to sneeze. So right back
Yeah,
time.
no,
to ask him.
I just needs
Damn
to
it.
went away. It's fine. Yeah, I need to play a few games with it.
Well, you can tell us in hobby if you got any movement on that, because I know you were talking with
Um,
Nick about like getting some games in. So that'd be
If I
interesting.
play Cold Slash, it'll be with Nick, yes. But
Yeah,
he has to actually get started on his army. So
I'm really scared
It might
about
be a
this though,
while.
given how long he was painting that Cav Prince back in 8th edition. So
yeah,
he's,
we'll see. We'll see if it happens at all.
Yeah.
He's picking up some bases from me next week, so that's at least starting things.
oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, sweet.
And then Josh asks, not this
Not
Josh,
me?
one of our
Not
patron
Josh?
Josh, wasn't it? Yeah. With the
Um,
axing of Dark Elves from the Cities of Sigmar
Fargrim.
range, do you think that the Dark Elves might be a Christmas release? GW seem to like dropping a new faction for games around December to drive up holiday sales. So I didn't actually realize that. And did someone else comment that on the Patreon questions? That, like,
I think I did see some discussion about it.
as in, are they gone from the
think it was
website
dropped.
totally now? Because they were up there, you know, like in terms of some of the
Yeah.
stuff. Surely the city, like the witch elves, would still be up there, wouldn't they? Because aren't they part of that Daughters of Cain or whatever they're called?
I would have.
Mm,
I haven't actually checked,
Yeah.
but it
Axing
sounds
of
like
Dark-
the.
What do you think would be? I'd probably say no, because I would probably say. I swear, Vamps
Well-
would be the first one out if they were going to do one.
He
Maybe
must just
smart.
mean the Dark Elves from that were still in the Cities of Sigmar, whereas
Yeah,
the
okay,
Witch
yeah,
Elves
yeah,
are just in
yeah.
Daughters of Cain.
Yeah, but they, yeah, true. No. Did they not? Yeah, they haven't replaced the actual witch elves. Witch elves, in AOS, they're the same ones. So they did bring out some other weird looking ones, didn't they, in the Daughters of Cain? But they weren't witch elves, is that right? Don't know.
I
I keep
just
asking
wasn't following.
Andrew AOS questions. 'Cause he's played
Yeah.
it like once.
What? Look, I like them because they've got like because they used to play World of Warcraft. They had well, Josh should probably know this. Who are the elves that went under the water, like the bad elves?
The
Was that-
Blood Elves?
No.
Wait, which ones? Or the Night Elves?
No,
Wait, it went underwater?
It was like the Cataclysm, and then like some of the elves that got washed underwater, they didn't die. They like turned into those like sea elves with the tail that look snaky. Anyway, they kind of remind me of that.
The Naga, I think, or something. like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Very, very much like that.
Yeah, okay. That's a lot. Wow, that's an ancient memory.
Fantasy is
World
all
of
very
Warcraft
accessible.
from about.
They all just-
Yeah, the Kata expansion was like, what, 15 years ago or something?
Yeah, it's fine.
Kata
The
Yeah, so I
mind,
just
oh
look
my
at-
God.
struggles to keep up.
The Daughters of Cain are still definitely mostly 8. That's I think they're normal witch
You'd
elves.
expect they'd still be up there.
Oh, that's not the right screen.
Where are we?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
All right,
Where
I'm in
are
the
we?
wrong- I've shared the wrong screen.
Could be
Yeah.
dangerous sharing the old wrong screen sometimes. Depends on what
Mm.
you're looking at.
That's
Spearhead.
are they the
Oh,
eighth
they
ed?
do look like Naga.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the 8th ed, and they're the 8th ed Doom Warlocks.
Yeah.
But these are those new dudes. Yeah,
These
Yeah,
sneaky,
yeah.
snaky things. Yeah.
yeah.
The
But
snaky
then, yeah, see the blood rack, the cauldron's still there.
Oh, yeah.
But that's pretty much, well, that is it. It's not a very big range. Although these are cool for harpies. They have harpies in Dark Elves, didn't they? Or am I getting that confused?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they did, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Could use them. They look pretty cool. Even though they're people, they're like humans and not, well, not they're elves, but not whatever hell a harpy is.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right, Josh. It's not these dudes. It's the age of what is it? Cities of Sigmar being canned, which I thought we knew. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't reckon they'll. I don't think they're bringing factions.
I can't expect now during this edition. Yeah.
I think
that'd be amazing if they did. How cool would it be?
100%. They need to. I'm not trying to say they shouldn't, but that's for sure. Yeah.
Do you think they've written the arcane journals for them all? Like they're just sitting in a desk somewhere?
Yeah.
Mostly. Just a marketing decision that they didn't.
Yeah.
They got demoted.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. It could have been a marketing decision. I know they talk about that. Was it the rift between the two? But it also could have been a cut back of the entire thing that we're not going to release that many.
The scope.
So if we're not going to release that many, well, let's make sure there's no major overlap. You know, even though there technically is still, there's chaos and stuff, and
there's heaps of overlap.
Yeah. So who knows what they do over there?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think they know what they're doing over there, to be honest.
Nah. Yeah, that's right.
They're just rolling to us.
You think they're more likely to release a whole new faction? Like he's right. Like they do like to release new stuff.
Oh, is that a question?
December. Well, he was talking about releasing Dark Elves, but he's saying the rationale is that they like to release a new faction before Christmas.
Yeah.
Do you think they will release a new faction of some kind before Christmas?
At least,
if you think Cathay, it could still be Cat. Like if this,
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, like if we get Beastman soonish, like April, you're probably going to get Wood Elves middle of the year. So by the time it's all out, and then you'll get a reveal of Cathay. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Cathay is still near the end of the year. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I can reveal.
I don't know.
Real. What's you saying? September reveal?
Oh no, like the year
November.
Reveal.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it's too much? Like, because it wouldn't know. There's no way they'll do Cathay sort of mid-year and then like Kislev if they do that. I can't see him blowing both of them.
No.
Back to back human. Well, I don't know. I think that's a mistake. I reckon they should probably do Cathay and then I don't know. Just maybe they should do a friggin' vampires or something. Maybe they should. They would buy it, would they? If they brought out like Dark Elves.
Got it already. Like it's all sitting there. Like you know.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you're right. They just got to release it. It's ready to go. Especially if they're taking it off the AOS line.
Yeah, like, and we don't have time to go through all this. Well, we'll do this as a YouTube video that will respond to the Squarebase survey results have been dropping. But one of them, I can't remember the exact stats, but there's a fair bit of people who buy the stuff by the Games Workshop released figures. They're not, even though they're old, they do buy them. So like it feels like to me, if you went out and released the legacy ones with the old kits, they would sell them. So it's not like people aren't buying them because they're old sculpts. Do you know what I mean? Like people are buying them.
Yeah.
So they're printing money basically.
Good Tomb Kings, the oldest sculpts out there, effectively, and
yeah, and like every Tomb King, like have you played against a Tomb King army that's not Tomb Kings?
No.
Like there is good 3D print ones now, like those ones that Josh originally printed that range that I'd bought.
Yeah.
I haven't printed the skeletons off, but they look better, but I've never seen anyone use them really.
Yeah, no.
Just been using the Tomb King derpy ones. So it's kind of funny. Cool.
Yeah.
Who wants to jump
I think
onto
it's because the aesthetic of it, you sort of go all or nothing with that type of thing, don't you? Like you either make an army of it or not, which is so it's hard just to sort of slot it in.
I did think I'd I should print out. I was going to definitely print some of the horses from that range of skeletons because they look bloody good. I was going to do that with the Cetra chariot that I got, like get rid of the crap horses off it, but actually use the proper Games Workshop Cetra. Not that he's better or anything, but it's just at least it's sort of legit. But anyway, cool. Let's move on. Who's doing hobby? Don't talk all at once.
Josh.
Me.
He's got something there. What is that? Oh, these are. Is this cards or something?
There's cards I've been
What is he doing?
Okay. I've actually got a whole lot to talk about because, I mean, unfortunately, this is about my the campaign, the 6th one, not the possible one I'm doing with Nick. But I've been doing a whole lot of hobby with it. I've been doing a bunch of stuff, and I just really want to go through with it, guys. So I have been doing. So yeah, I've got some cards. I'm doing lots of different cards. So these cards, my first set of cards. This is for the 3-player game rules where the dispel phase you have to bid your dispel dice. So I've actually printed off cards so people can go, yeah, I'm using 1 dispel dice, 2 dispel dice, 3 or whatever.
And then you
rather
get
than having
that
to
many
like write it
cards.
down.
Is that how it works? Or something?
You just have the 6 cards, so then you can just use them each time someone spells. You're not discarding cards. It's just so you don't have to write it down or something. Because you just because you have to secretly select how many dice you're using, right? And then you got to show it. Yeah. So you just go, yeah, here's a card. That's what I'm using, kind of thing. So yeah, so I've got that, and then I've done some mercenary ones. Now this is also because originally the mercenary role was like this D6 and like there were 6 mercenaries, but then I kept adding mercenaries to it, and then I was subbing mercenaries in and out of the table. Got too annoying. I'm like, why not just make it into a card? So I actually made a deck of mercenary cards where I've just got like all the different like mercenary units, like the Lost Legion.
How are you making these? How are you making these like backs of the cards and stuff?
Dali, man. I used Dali
okay, cool.
to make the back of the card, like all of these card backs. So you say, yeah, same with the dispel one.
Awesome.
And then I just fiddled around with a little bit, like the mercenaries adding the text and that type of thing too.
Yeah.
But it came out really nicely. And then I ended up doing this, which is like a little tabletop scene where the deck of cards sits. Because we know when you roll a mercenary event, it's like you have to go up to the campaign map to go pick up, draw a card. So now you draw the card, and then you can spend more coins to get additional cards and pick which mercenary you want. But yeah, I thought I'd have a nice little cozy scene, little candle and a scroll and that type of thing. And then I also did it with the NPC deck. So I've just been making so many cards, guys.
So what's that printed on? Is that like a thick piece of paper or?
Yeah, it's like it's like a 170 PSM paper. So it's slightly thicker and printing the cards on it too. I mean, I don't have a very good system with the cards. I just print off 2 pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Cut out the cards, and then slide them both into a card holder. So, I'm not even trying to do double-sided one piece of paper because I tried it a couple of times and then it just wouldn't quite align.
Yeah.
Always
laminate them. I buy the things from Thingy and just laminate them.
Yeah, cool.
I guess they're shiny there, but
I'm looking up this half tank. This thing's gold. I've never seen it before.
Oh, the Kathleen half tank.
Kathleen half tank. Well, what the hell is this thing? The soup cannon.
The soup cannon. Oh, Andrew, I have a lot to say about the soup cannon, and it's coming up shortly.
No armor so loud. Jeez. Ouch. The soup doesn't care about armor.
The soup does not care about armor. Yeah, that thing. Yeah, because they did a little. I don't know. It was in a White Dwarf or something years ago.
Yeah.
They did a halfling half tank thing, and I was like, "This is really cool." And then I really want to put it in as a mercenary, but I what have you got?
Did you guys used to build stuff out of Lego? We didn't have the money back as a kid. That's what I used to do. Some of my cannons were the Lego cannons from the pirate.
Oh, the Lego cannons.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I never.
I've just found the Kathleen half Soup tank made of Lego.
The dude on the back making soup. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, I'm gonna come back to the half tank shortly. I do have one more second set of cards which I made.
Shut up, guys. I'm trying to present.
Shut up. Which is demonic cards for the demon scenario. Because again, I was fiddling around. I'm like, I've got these 6 units. I want to add more units, but I don't want to have more than 6. So better than rolling a table, people just draw cards up to 6, and then you can deploy those units, right?
Yeah.
I'm just having fun making cards.
Mm.
And I've been painting up demons too. So this is actual hobby, real hobby, with a brush and paint on it. I got some plague bearers done. I got some plague riders done using some of the old school snaily things from I think they're 5th ed plague beasts. I think, but yeah, I managed to sort of stick some plague bearers on the back. You know, just had to melt them slightly to wiggle the legs over, get the leg over, as it were.
Classic.
So I got them done. Almost got the whole demon army done now. I just need to get the demonettes and the pleasure seekers, and that'll be 6 units, and then they'll be fully painted. And then it's just a matter of, do I want to add in flesh hounds and some other stuff. I've essentially painted a whole demon army for one scenario.
You basically just have a demon army now. Is that what's happened?
That's we're close to that. Yeah, we're close to that. The other thing that I've been working on is this. This is the half tank, guys. This is the half tank. It's not painted yet. I've been doing a fair bit of work on it. I've got a big soup thing at the back. Got some hanging foods of various kinds, some sausage, some garlic, a big chicken cannon at the front. Oh, yeah.
The guys listening, you have to watch YouTube.
I love the smoke too, man. Look at it.
Oh, the smoke! I found a cool STL that I was like, oh yeah, no, that'll work. I was looking around for some smoke to give it a bit of motion.
That is good smoke.
I'm in the process of adding a broken fence to the front of it.
You need to put a big smoker on there with brisket in it after the first.
Oh
that's what you need.
In memory of Carl.
Or at least, like, you know how those big smokers are on trailers anyway. You could print another one off the back. Just pull it from the back. Just another trailer.
Just another trailer on the back of the other trailer.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Now, okay, I will pop that. How am I going to do this? I'll pop that out. I'm just going to swap over to the share screeny thing. Because, the half tank rules. So I have actually put together a whole homebrew thing of half tank rules for the thing. Because the original ones, like, the whole thing's unbreakable. It's really hard to kill. It's fairly slow moving. And I've done this whole thing where I'm like, I've called this half tank the Vanessa rather than the Kathleen. And it basically moves a bit like a random movement where it's an artillery dice plus d6 inches each turn in a direction you select, like a compulsory move type thing. And then if it hits something, it's like a chariot. If it hits impassable, it causes the impact hits to itself. If it goes through a fence, it destroys the fence. If it goes through different terrains, like a chariot, it gets nailed by the thingos. If it rolls a misfire when it's moving with artillery dice, there's a misfire chart for that. And I've got the same soup cannon as the original, which is also just the plain template. And I've got a misfire chart for the cannon, which is so fun.
Frothy failure.
I've got kettle catastrophe if they roll a 1 on the misfire chart for either one, where the whole thing explodes. I've got boiler backfire, gummed up gears. I've got rolling inferno if you roll a 6 on the movement misfire, which is like the artillery dice is a 10 and you get extra impact hits. Brothy bomb for the 6 on the cannon, which is like it overpressurizes and the whole shot shoots 46 inches in the original direction, but using the stone thrower template. So I'm looking forward to seeing this on the table. Yeah, very excited to see this on the table.
So how do they get? Did they pick? Is this because it's a mercenary, right? Is it?
Yeah.
So, but do they have to draw from the card? How does it work again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically,
when you do all this effort and it won't be there.
Could be. So okay. Yeah. So
Josh is just going to slide it towards the top of the deck.
oh yeah, I'm just going to have it at the top. Like obviously, I'll just have it right at the top, so it'll just happen, right? That's the beauty of the cards.
It's coming out. It's coming out.
The table.
If you actually
I have no
open
control
up,
over the
but if you actually turn over those cards, they're all that. Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah. Josh is loaded deck.
Or I just
secretly
stack them
he's
in a
painted
certain
6
order.
of them.
I am not. Yeah, I'm not gonna paint 6 of them.
Soup cannons.
Okay, so yeah, the soup cannon is so much fun. Now, what else had I done? Oh, guys, so much. So I now have. I've set up the wiki. So Herald of the Old World.
Yeah, cool. Yep.
Herald of the Old World has lent me a little corner of his wiki page.
Awesome.
And then I might, if I can put this
That's
in.
a good wiki page too. I'll check that out.
And I actually bought a domain called fallofmontecastello.com.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Which then just like forwards on to the wiki. See if I can bring it up now. Yeah, I'm in the wrong spot. Hold on. Because I am very excited about this too, guys. Like, so this is the wiki page that we've got together. It's been a while just building this up. And then Andrew actually helped me. He used some cartography system to make me a map of the campaign, which is incredible. And then I gone back into Photoshop and just done all these little translucent tiles that then stick on the map, which I love. So every month I can update it. And then we've got other updates, like it's nice to have a centralized place for this kind of stuff now, where people can go and refer to this, even the players. So I've got, the who's attacking in what order for the upcoming match. I've got the, the next meeting date being the 23rd. So it's actually this Sunday. And then I've got any other sort of changes or updates or things, new stuff painted. And then I got links to, the previous like battle reports and stuff, or just like, and what I've done as well is I've actually used Holder's map and sort of put it in like with the different attack routes and stuff for each person's like declared attack, so you can sort of see.
Now I'm gonna have to catch up on it because now I can visualize it.
It sort of adds a level of okay, so they were attacking from there or they were going there, or that kind of thing.
That's awesome.
And one last thing I've done is I've added faction pages, people's factions. So this is something I'm hoping to develop more. I've done a fair bit on my little one, just some like random quotes and background stuff. And I'm also putting links to one of the guys, one of the regular participants of Will. He's actually got his whole blog thing going. He's been doing for ages, where he actually does like narrative reports and stuff like that. So I'll put links over to that too, which is really
that's
cool.
gonna be cool. Awesome. Yeah, this will be good. Let's make sure we put this on on every bloody video we do. Yeah, this is cool. That's what I remember talking about this right at the beginning. That'd be cool to have something like this. So it's good that you've
It took me ages to finally do it. It was really Andrew Hollis helped me a lot with everything actually, setting it up. But it's nice to finally have an online presence. It's not just like a Facebook event or something like that.
You've been quite busy, Josh.
Have I? I've been doing a lot of stuff. It's lots of irons in the fire over the last few weeks, trying to get all this geared up.
And we are joining you for your campaign update video at some point or something, aren't we? For the 6th Ed pod. Is that right? Didn't you talk about that? You wanted to talk through that with us?
That's what I'm doing now, guys.
Oh, I thought you meant on a separate video you're going to do your pod as well.
You can see it here right now, and I'll open it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Didn't you say like 1 to 2 hours or something there? When you asked
No,
us?
I said 20 to 30 minutes, which is what we're...
Okay. I thought you meant
let's do the back half of the episode.
Oh, okay.
Now that's what I'm doing now.
Because when did you do your last 6 Ed pod?
So end of last year.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm planning to do another one. So there's the week after next is actually a 6-ed tournament in Ballarat Uprising, which is a good old annual one. It's got like 24, 25 people signed up, which I was sort of surprised to see. But Ben and I are probably going to do another episode after that.
Cool.
We reckon.
You won't do a pre-tournament one? Oh, he's not running it. Or is he running it?
He's not running it this year.
Okay. No.
He usually does, but he's not running it anymore.
Yeah.
So
okay.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I thought I'd just do it. It's been a while since I've done one, but yeah, I thought I might just do a post 21.
What are you up to? What, do you want to go, Andrew, or me? Or I mean, I've just programmed, but
I don't have hobby, but I was scheming for High Elves for coming up for ShyCon. Because I'm keen to put my money where my mouth is and put some Seaguard Garrison on the table. We'll see how that's going to go. But anyway, I was going to do a Old Fanatics video on a army build, and then out of nowhere, Sean the Elf Guru contacted me and said, "How about putting out a video together?" I'm like,
"Oh,
well, we might do a High Elf collab about probably see if we can do a Creation Warhost possibly and a Seaguard Garrison." And yeah, hopefully we can get that out within the week.
Ooh,
stay tuned.
That sounds cool. Yeah, and like ShyCon, I don't know why I couldn't find I went to the event and there was no player pack on the Facebook event. I couldn't. That's why I asked you, where the hell's the players pack? So it's not really any comp as such, except for the limits on what was it? The 25% character thing. Is that it?
Yeah, it's like the Throne of
Skulls. Yeah. Okay.
Which is and I think the missions are quite just the book missions. So there's nothing.
So it's about 6 weeks away, right? Yeah. 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm going to take. Probably orcs, but we'll see. All right. Yeah. Be fun. Oh, yeah. Well, I started painting last week. Well, when I played Cam, I started painting a mangler up because it was only undercoated. So I've started that, but I didn't get anywhere this week on it. So I haven't actually done any ups. It feels so bad. It's a crazy work week. And then I got addicted to doing more work on Old Wolf rankings as well. So that was the only thing.
It seems like a massive time sink for you, the Old Wolf rankings website.
It comes in spits and spurts, like you sort of like you do bits and then you go, yeah. It's getting close to being almost maintenance free, but it's not maintenance free, but it's where I want it to get to. Like I want it to have full global stuff, and obviously when they had that global, where's my bloody thing? Add to stage. I keep looking at the wrong screen. When they had that other ranking spreadsheet the other day, I was like, oh, so much of my stuff's already in here for that, so that's why I thought I better put it up there. Better keep up with the competition. No, that was I got them on a call. I met Adam on first time I met him. Who's Adam Slutsky, who's like one of the best players in the US and online. So it was good to have a chat with him about it the other week. And then looked at their way of doing global rankings for players as well. So it took a few ideas. So I haven't actually turned mine on yet. You can't go in and see the full global ones because I'm playing around with different. I don't know. I might still do a bit different. We've been chatting to the patrons actually as well about, how would you guys rank players, as such, because it's cool. Everyone's got their own opinion, so it's nice to just sort of get all that before I do it. But in terms of just like coming on here and getting lists now as well, guys, and faction stats, it's all in here too. So if everyone hadn't seen that, and on Old World of Oz, we'll probably go a bit more into this for the Australian side as well. So, but it's got, like a fair few lists in here now, as well as you can see how many. I actually added Longshanks as well, so it pulls from Longshanks. So now it's pulling from 3 of the big tournament platforms. So I think it's getting, apart from like a lot of the European tournaments, which are in T3, which I can actually get out of that as well. It's probably getting pretty close to nearly having all the major ones on there. So it's pretty cool to see how many people are playing. So it's getting up there. If people hadn't seen it yet, you can basically look at army lists now through different factions, more recent lists, what events, sizes, and countries, which is pretty cool. Just in case you want to sort of, see your own meta. Plus, you can include or exclude online. So the online tournaments are in there as well, like Squarebase, like SBot, stuff like that. And on top of that, that came out on the weekend was global faction stats across the whole board. So
Nice.
there will be more coming. And just mentioned before, there's going to be like a date range thing. So you can sort of limit it down to, like just post FAQ 1.3 stats or something like that. Just if people
so much chaos. So much chaos.
Yeah. But again, you can look at it down to your meta, like your own region. If you want to look at that, you can turn off the online. You can split in or out the sub factions.
Yeah, wow.
And then you get all the stats around the distribution of stuff like that. How many times
this
they're
is
hitting
so
the
good.
top
My
pods,
goodness.
and podiums and stuff
It's incredible.
like that. So, and it's all fast, quick. Like if you look at Australia GT events, which we don't have obviously a heap of GTs, you sort of get a bit of an idea about who's, what armies. Like it's kind of right, but Chaos Dwarves are up there for a fair few wins as well, because obviously some of the better players are playing Chaos Dwarves. And Tomb Kings, Mortuary Cult, as you would expect, Exiles, stuff like that right up there. And unfortunately, Skaven and stuff sitting in that red line. Where it's sort of, this is a fun one to look at.
Where's the 4+ wins? Where's the 3+ wins?
Yeah. If I'm going to take Orcs, what do I generally get? You look down here. It's actually, I think I was looking at this. Maybe it's global. Let me just have a look. No, I did do GTs because that way you just got the 5 wins. But I think Orcs were almost, maybe it wasn't this one, but I was playing with some numbers and it almost looked like Orcs were almost in the middle, in the sense that they had almost as many. Well, this sort of is like that. Like they've got almost the same amount of no wins as they do have 5 wins, and then everything's 25%. It's almost like they're just in the middle, like like I mean, like they, which is actually not a bad thing. Like you would actually probably hope all factions were there, if you know what I mean. Like, But obviously the launch factions are up there at, in that high range, but you'd expect some of that. But yeah, if other people have stats, obviously I just don't have all the player ones, but I will be able to get more of them, and I might add them, especially from the platforms like New Recruit and stuff, because then you can do like faction v faction stats, which I think would be pretty cool.
That is still quite a large range of statistics that you've got there. Like that is, you're not going to see that really anywhere else.
One of the other ones I want to do, I mean, this is probably not really interesting locally, but I thought it might be interesting to have like podium or win percentage or podium percentages for the top 3 factions per region or something like that. So you could see like if, and the other one that for those rulebook edition releases, so you could see like over time, did this rule affect you see like, I don't know, you see a faction drop off the win rate because the rule changes or something like that. I thought that might be interesting.
What else?
Yeah, so wondering about that. Yeah, what else?
You might, or maybe that's a more interesting too with just appearances. Like how many times do these factions appear, and then you see these different rule pops up, and then you see them change. But just, I mean, look, it's a bit of fun. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but it's sort of pretty cool.
No, it's a great resource.
But yeah, apart from that, next stops, the global rankings will be there, and then just continually doing a little bit more around the. Well, I don't know. Last time I've been on here, you wouldn't have been seen. We've got the actual indicators showing how people move up and down over months and weeks in the rankings as well. And obviously that will be in the global one once it comes, when I turn it on. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably heaps. There's heaps of ideas in my backlog, but and then the other big ideas I will add is more hobby related stuff. So uploading images against army lists and factions, so then you can go into your player profile and just have pictures of your armies and stuff, and try to get a bit of the hobby in there as well, because I think that's pretty important. So good to do that. Do have your winning percentage. Andrew's is 53.3 win rate. So ranked
a lot of draws in
Australia.
A lot of draws. How many draws have I
got? 4. Castle. We didn't have the results for Castle win-loss draw, so I don't know if you had any there. Yeah. They maybe did, but
surely I've got to be 60%. Nah.
You'll get there better than me.
I'll get there. I need to get what I need to get is on these GTs. The score is just so much better. The 3 days just.
It is. Yeah, that's just the way. The algorithm
such
works.
a huge gap.
Yeah, and that it does screw some of those other, like we've talked about, some of those other what's it called, the regions, like South Australia has no one in the top, and Goonie's like friggin' awesome, but he's only ever played 3 games.
Yeah,
so, I mean, look at that, bang, 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 bang. So yeah, definitely, if you're looking at doing a region or something like that, you probably have to think about whether or not you adjust some of that, or I don't know, you could wait in. That's sort of what the guys were doing on their global ranking. Was your overall rating had a 10%, I think, of your win rate and stuff like that. So you could bring some of that in as well.
You kind of at the mercy of the local tournament scene.
Even podiums. Like I was thinking of doing win rate with podiums or some podium as well. So that way, if you get podiums in small events, that would be worth a bit. Do you know what I mean? Not as much as normal, but still be a bit. Try and help you get up there. So anyway. Yeah, so sorry, I've been doing that, but I will get into some actual airbrush. I've been thinking about airbrushing, put it that way. So
thinking about it. Next step.
The other thing with airbrushing, it's not just airbrushing. You actually have to also then go, right, if I'm going to airbrush my beastmen, I've got to actually get them all off the plastic sprues and glue them all together. That's really hard when you've been 3D printing for a long time. Everything just comes off.
Take the sprues off. Got to cut some mold lines off. How painstaking. It is a little. It actually is. It actually is.
So I don't know.
How's your painting bucket going? Is it still overflowing?
What do you mean in terms of just stuff? Yeah, there's as in. Oh no, I haven't been printing as much. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, don't you have that little painting?
Yeah, just thing with crap in it. Yeah, that's. Yeah. I've basically cleaned my room up a bit by putting that stuff under a bed somewhere, so I don't have to think about it.
Oh, so if you can't see it,
I'm totally going to forget. Like, in 2 years' time, you'll go, I swear I did. Oh, that's right. I forgot I printed that entire whatever.
Yeah. So at least you're organized. Like, look at this shit. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I actually. Call me weird, but I actually do, because you know how my daughter was painting, she spilled all stuff over my hobby area, which it's, like Josh, I just saw Josh's in that picture that he had there where you can see he's got a very nice looking green cutting mat there, which has it's had some good runs and mileage on it.
Yeah.
Hasn't it?
Question if it's actually been used. Yeah.
Well, I bought a new one of them on mine. Well, just, like you paint on it as well, don't you? Like it's just everything.
Yeah, that essentially that's used as my painting thing.
Yeah. So I bought a new one though, and it's sitting there and everything looks brand new over there. But I'm like, is that bad? Because now it doesn't look like I do anything. It was actually looked used before. It was all like dirt and shit everywhere. But it's just getting a bit manky. Because when people come in the house, this is the first room they see. So I sort of do have to sometimes keep it
relatively clean.
Yeah,
that's fine. I don't think having everything all messy and dirty is something to aspire to necessarily, is it?
I don't know, but you know how it does look used, and you're like, okay, now, it just looks like you're doing something and not just collecting stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, cool.
I don't really get it, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all like people like me who have nice looking guitars that don't get used, versus people who have beaten up things that they obviously use them. So, it's sometimes good to make it look a bit crap, not crap, but it's, you're looking and go, this person's using it. And I was using my painting desk and now it's like, looks clean. I'm like, oh shit. So, and pretty dumb that I did this just before I'm going to start airbrushing more because it's probably going to turn into shit anyway. But,
anyway. I'm sure you'll make up for lost time very rapidly.
Yeah.
Did Picasso have a clean workspace, do you think?
No.
I mean, he had his ear hanging off somewhere over here, and I don't see it. The true artist is messy.
That's right. Totally. Anyway, that's another Old World Fanatics. We did 2 hours. Look at that. Easy. Right on time.
Wait, hold on. Are we supposed to be doing 2 hours? Like, is that something we're aiming for now?
Oh, yeah, we have. It's in our YouTube.
Is that in our contracts? 2 hours every week?
That's what I get paid for.
What was our first one? We'll have to go back. Did they have these gone up, or they've always been around this? Or
It's
they
been
at
around
3
2 hours
hours
for a long
once, and then we
time,
brought them down?
Yeah, I think they were two and 3/4, close to 3. But I think sometimes we'd also have like ones that were only an hour and a half as well. Like I feel like we were just like whatever happens, man. It's just natural free flow.
Yeah,
but it seems to be that's like 2 hours, and somehow we always seem to be hit 2 hours. Like, yep, right.
Yeah, it's probably
glad you guys watch the time. I got no idea.
We're just having a chat. We just have a chat. Yeah, it is 11. We probably should, got to do some stuff at some point. Yeah, awesome. Oh well, we'll wrap this one up then, guys. I think.
Yep.
We got any? Oh, so Andrew's already plugged the High Elf stuff coming out this week, which would be cool.
Yeah,
you got any idea for next week?
With Guy
oh, do you? Okay, cool. Are you?
And then we'll put a game.
Is that okay?
Thursday.
I didn't realize.
Hey.
Are you going to be able to play Thursday then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, feel bad making you have multiple games
No.
a week.
I need to bust out the Sea Guard. I need all the help I can get. I need to tap into the secrets of the Sea Guard.
Okay, I'll have to look at it, how to win a game. So, okay, I'll try. I'll come up with something for Thursday.
Oh, you could bring anything and probably beat me.
No, doubt it. No. Oh, horrendous. Anyway, I'll have to learn how to play again, but that's okay. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
State of the Orcs, because at least I know their stats. So
you bring Skaven and beat me.
Or your Skaven army. I'll bring Skaven and play the Legacy Renegade pack thing. Then. No, we'll have to do the proper one. Okay, I'm gonna close this one out, guys. If that's all cool. Thanks for listening to another Old World Fanatics. If you enjoy our weekly ramblings, please check out our rate our podcast on your podcast software. If it does that, otherwise on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe, throw some comments on there, ask Cole a couple of questions about airbrushing. I'm sure he'll get back to you, or we'll send them through.
Sure.
And I'm assuming we're going to try to put some of these links on from him and Josh with those wiki stuff. So
yes,
that'd be awesome. I've got to get that out there. But until next time, guys, thanks for listening to another Old World Fanatics. I'll catch you guys next week, and everyone else, and have a good week. Keep rolling dice, and we'll chat to you next time. See you guys.